nothing to see, hear. I will block him and be at his house in 10 minutes for lunch. Like, y'all, I'm telling y'all.
You would never expect this moment to look the way it does. The tears finally falling are not coming from who most people assumed would break first. After years filled with drama, betrayal, and non-stop headlines, Arionne Curry has reached her emotional limit. What we are witnessing now is not anger or revenge. It is the quiet collapse of a woman who believed she had a partner, only to slowly realize she may have been nothing more than a chapter in someone else's story. As Martell Holt's public image continues to take hit after hit, especially because of how he has treated Melody and their children, the pressure has started to affect everyone around him. Arionne, who once stood firmly by his side, is now feeling the full weight of everything she ignored for so long. She is no longer staying silent. She is no longer defending his actions. And those tears people are seeing now are not only about love lost.
Men, they come and go, but as women, we have to have a certain amount of respect for one another as to where, you're looking at a man like, regardless of what he told you, you have to get it together. And this too shall pass, because Arionne been that bitch all her life.
They are about the painful truth that being loyal to the wrong person can slowly destroy you from the inside. Martell's health scare came suddenly and shocked many people. It began with symptoms that were easy to dismiss at first. He complained of constant tiredness, dizzy spells, and what close sources described as mental fog. Early on, most assumed he was simply overwhelmed. After all, he was dealing with ongoing legal problems, tense co-parenting issues with Melody, struggling business ventures, and increasing criticism from viewers and fans. But what seemed manageable quickly turned serious. According to people close to Martell, he collapsed at home and had to be rushed to the hospital. This was not just exhaustion. Doctors admitted him directly into the intensive care unit. Looking back, those around him realized the signs had been there long before he ended up in critical care.
Time to get off live then.
No, it ain't. Oh, you forgot you weren't supposed to go live anyway. Remember?
Well, I just want to say hi to my people.
One insider shared that Martell had stopped attending meetings and was avoiding people he usually relied on. Even his closest circle noticed his behavior had changed. His mental state had been unstable for weeks, possibly even longer. With everything happening in his life, it is not surprising that his body eventually gave in. Keeping up a confident public image while his personal world fell apart behind closed doors was never going to last forever. And this version of Martell was nothing like the smooth-talking, self-assured man viewers were used to seeing on Love and Marriage Huntsville. This was someone whose life was clearly unraveling. Between legal battles with Melody, public criticism of his behavior as a father, and questions about his honesty as a partner, Martell's reputation has been under intense scrutiny. Add to that the complicated relationship with Arionne.
Yeah, with no side bitch. That was my other woman. That was my other woman. Let's get that corrected. No, it wasn't no side, nothing. That was my other woman. And that's just what it is. Period.
Years of back and forth promises, emotional manipulation, and a child he rarely acknowledges online, and the pressure became unbearable. Eventually, it all caught up with him. This moment was not only about illness. For the first time, Martell lost control of the story. While fans filled social media with prayers, guesses, and theories, one voice was noticeably missing. Arionne said nothing, and this silence spoke louder than words. Arionne Curry is no stranger to online criticism. She has been dragged for years because of her relationship with Martell. However, this time felt different. Her silence did not come from fear or shame. It felt intentional. After everything she had endured, this health scare may have been her final breaking point. Some people believe she stepped back to protect her privacy. Others think she was quietly supporting Martell without wanting attention.
A couple? It's the big D energy, we understand, LOL. I'd be happy too.
But many feel she was done playing a role that only mattered when it benefited him. She was tired of being invisible unless he needed comfort or loyalty. especially when the man she gave years of her life to had no problem disappearing whenever it suited him.
Arionne's silence was not weakness, it was distance. Whether driven by heartbreak, disappointment, or pure exhaustion, she finally stepped away from a story that never gave her respect or closure. And after all that quiet, she decided to speak.
When Arionne finally addressed the situation, it was not through a live rant or an angry post. Instead, she shared a video. In that clip, she looked vulnerable and honest. She admitted she was scared. She explained how receiving the call about Martell being in the ICU sent her into panic. Despite everything he had put her through, the lies, the cheating, the loneliness, she still cared. And that realization hurt more than anything else. She said people assumed she wanted this outcome, that she felt relieved. But hearing that he was sick did not bring freedom. It brought pain. She spoke about spending years loving someone who never made her feel like she was enough. And now she did not even know if she would get the chance to say goodbye. Arionne described what those years truly looked like. Late-night phone calls that ended with tears, being connected to a child who barely receives public acknowledgement. Not because Martell does not care, but because he is too focused on controlling how others view him. She grew used to silence, distance, and living in the shadows. But this situation felt different. What hurt her the most was not just the fear of losing him. It was the thought that if something happened, the man who shaped so much of her identity would leave her with nothing but unanswered questions. She did not sound bitter anymore. She sounded tired, like someone who finally realized she had been chasing a future that was never real. With Martell's life uncertain, Arionne admitted it felt like all those years might end without acknowledgement. She ended her video quietly, saying she never wanted him to suffer. She wanted him to heal, for himself, for their child, and for her. While doctors worked to stabilize Martell physically, he faced a mental battle of his own. Lying in a hospital bed, attached to machines, stripped of the image he worked so hard to maintain, something shifted. During moments of clarity, insiders say his thoughts were not about business or reputation. They were about memories. He reflected on his marriage to Melody, the arguments, the collapse of their relationship, and the constant struggle between two women who once believed in him. Doctors say serious health events often force people to confront their past, and for Martell, this reflection was long overdue. He began asking for his children, repeating their names, wanting to hear their voices, not for appearances, but for comfort. According to a close source, Martell even wrote a note asking if Melody would visit. But he also asked for Arionne, not as a secret or backup, but because he wanted to speak to her.
One of those women responded. The other did not. Melody chose distance, protecting her peace the same way she had when she walked away from the marriage. Arionne hesitated. She did not rush to his side or post emotional messages. For the first time, she considered her own needs before his.
That shift was powerful. For years, Martell controlled the narrative everywhere. Now, without that control, he was forced to see the damage left behind. A fractured family, lingering resentment, a child he barely sees. Two women who once would have done anything for him, now choosing space instead of chaos. Later, Arionne went live briefly. Through tears, she shared everything she had been holding inside. Not just the hospital scare, but the years of emotional weight, the lies she believed, and the truth she avoided. She admitted she still loved him, but then she said something that stopped people cold. She loved him, but she could not keep losing herself for someone who never fully chose her. That sentence was not angry. It was honest. Watching Martell in that hospital bed made her realize she had been holding on to a version of him that never existed. She looked into the camera and said she was choosing herself. She needed peace. She needed healing. And she could no longer live in someone else's shadow. So where does this leave Martell? He is still recovering physically. Emotionally, the future is unclear. The man who once thrived on attention now sits in silence. Melody has not spoken publicly. Her quiet speaks volumes.
it says she has moved on.
Arionne's goodbye changed everything. For years, she was painted as the villain. This time, people see her differently. Not as someone clinging to drama, but as a woman choosing herself. Fans are divided. Some think this is just another cycle. Others believe this moment finally brought closure. One comment read, "This feels real." Another said they never expected to sympathize with Arionne, but her honesty hit hard. So now the question remains, is this truly the end or the beginning of a new truth? Did Arionne finally walk away, or is there still unfinished business? Share your thoughts below.